This is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
The cardinal role of a government is maintaining law and order, safeguarding citizens' rights and providing essential public goods and services. Throughout its tenure, the government has consistently upheld these principles. This foundation creates an environment conducive to delivering crucial social services to citizens through diverse approaches such as taxation, strategic budgeting, and effective policy implementation. A transformative education system, advancing healthcare provisions, enhancing social welfare, and propelling infrastructure growth, all of which continue to evolve daily to cater to the population's expectations. Supported by a meticulously organized network of ministries, government remains committed to serving its citizens. Coming soon on your public broadcaster, The Front Bench, your interface with the government every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with Joram Paul Sonko, only on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Have you packed more with Harbour jelly and Harbour foam?
Yes, we packed packs.
It will protect your skin from skin rashes.
Move it pack.
It is a new improved Morbid Harbour jelly. So soft and smooth.
It is a Morbid Harbour jelly.
Tell me, kids, the scent. Any irritations? No more rashes and irritations. Movit Harbour Jelly and Harbour Soap is rich in natural herbs for a smooth and glowing skin.
Move it all day confidence.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
And there you have it. Welcome along to Good Morning Uganda Extra. I am Joram Paul Sonko, and I'm here to discuss matters, or to talk matters, social protection financing. I have two guests in studio this morning, but before we get into this topic of discussion, just to give you a quick roundup of what is happening or what is trending locally from the Ugandan perspective. In Nakawa, there is a section of the Nakawa market that has actually caught fire this morning, and we stand together with the business people who have actually lost property. And of course, the authorities are there to try to investigate what would have caused this outbreak. And besides that, this morning we had a conversation which was rotating around ideally retirement and how Ugandans can prepare for retirement. This is a stage where we can all reach. Hopefully, if at all you've got the chance or you're blessed with life, you'll definitely reach retirement. And retirement comes with so many things. You're supposed to prepare accordingly. At times, it's never easy if you did not create a retirement plan for yourself. Our topic this morning is going to rotate around social protection financing, looking at securing enhanced allocations in the budget, especially for the older persons in the country. It is something that we are going to be looking at deeply to try to understand, are the older persons in this country prioritized as much as the youth are, or as much as, you know, we prioritize health or we prioritize security and the like? Because at the end of it all, we all have older persons in our family lineage. It may either be your grandmother, grandfather, great-grandparents, or a brother or a parent. So these are some of the conversations that we're going to be having this morning. Now, I didn't mention, by the way, that we do have two guests this morning. And at the extreme left, or my extreme left, I do have Honorable Jacob Richards Opolot, who is an advocacy advisor, Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection. A very good morning, sir, and many thanks for joining us this morning.
Morning, sir, and morning, viewers.
All right. And he's here under that capacity of social protection. So we are going to deeply try to understand what social protection entails and how the older persons are being prepared for their retirement. But besides that, next to me, I do have Honorable Peggy Wako, who is the National Female Member of Parliament representing older persons. A very good morning, Honorable, and many thanks for joining us.
Thank you for welcoming me. Good morning, moderator, and I'm happy to be here again.
All right, pleasure's mine to have you this morning on this sensitive topic. And to you, our dear viewer, you can as well be part of this conversation, maybe by just being a viewer, but also sharing your view on one or two things that we are having here in regards to the conversation. A very sensitive topic, if you are to ask me. I'll get right to Honorable Jacob Richards Opolot. From your office, I should say, let's first of all get to understand from your office of the Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection, what normally happens within that office?
Thank you, sir. What normally happens in that office is about discussions, planning, and mobilization for social protection. Okay. And that is social protection from the wider perspective, the life cycle perspective. So as a forum, that's what we do, mobilizing, advocating, and also sensitizing stakeholders on social protection.
And well, mobilizing stakeholders on social protection, a very big concern, if you are to ask me. And Honorable Jacob Richards, again to you. Looking at it in this way, Parliament is considering the ministerial policy statements. How are the issues concerning the vulnerable catered for in the budget? I want us to start with the current budget before we get deeper into the next financial year.
The issues to do with social protection, first of all, we want to appreciate government and acknowledge the recognition of social protection in the budgeting, despite the fact that the funding is still inadequate. And we have been, like I said, lobbying and having consultations, getting more and more money through such strategies. That's what we have been doing. And as government, we know that the funds may not be enough for everything. But given the fact that social protection is a very important aspect in inclusive and sustainable development, we feel it should be given more priority than it is at the moment. The recognition of social protection is fine, but now we need to move a step further and make it more prominent, because social protection touches each and every, from the womb to the grave. Government should prioritize social protection, because at every stage you must build the capacity of someone to inclusively and sustainably participate in the development of the community, the country, and even the self. For instance, you are talking about the sad event, and I must first say sorry for the people in Nakawa market. It's so sad. But as somebody in social protection advocacy, I know for sure there will be one or two people among them who will sink deep at the bottom of the abyss, because whatever they had has all gone. So they are sinking deeper into poverty, plus their families and their dependents.
And well, looking at it from that way, it brings me to my first question to Honorable Peggy Wacol.
Yes, please.
What is the state of older persons? You are in the capacity of representing them as a national female member of parliament. But what is the state of the older persons in Uganda as of today?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank our government because all along, old persons were left behind. We had the Women Council, we had the Youth Council, we had people with disabilities, but old persons were never thought of. It is during this term, since 2021, when old persons have been brought on board. Their issues now are also being considered. But before, I think they were being left there maybe to die or do whatever they could. But now it is like a hot cake because we have structures right from the grassroots level at LC1 where we have organized old persons, where they select their council of LC1, they have chairman, they have publicity secretary, they have treasurer. At least they have a government of 5 people who keep looking for them, identifying them, and being their voice, talking for them. Then those at LC1s, they go up and form another committee at parish level. There also, whatever is not handled, whatever cannot be handled at LC1 can now go up to LC2 and it is handled there. Then we have another structure at LC3. And this one is more organized because, as you know, at LC3, it is where most of the government programs are conducted because we even have there a community development officer who is a contact person.
Okay.
So having a community development officer there, all issues for these older people will come to him at LC3, and whatever he cannot handle, then he takes it over to the district level, where at the district we have a district contact person for old person, we have a district council for old person, and the district council has more than 5 members. It has 5 elected members, and on top of those, they have other members, like one representing NGOs, they have opinion leaders, they have several people. In fact, they have a health worker at the district level, a DMO sends there somebody to cater for issues of old person. As you know, with old age, all the time we are sick. So the committee at the district has got 12 members, and all these are dealing with handling issues of old persons. Once issues are handled at the district level, then it is when they go up at the national level. At the national level, in the Ministry of Gender, we have a National Council for Old Persons, which deals with all issues concerning old persons, which is the policy, which is plans for old persons, and whatever they cannot handle, then they send to us in Parliament, where we handle at the policy level, and you know the role of Parliament.
So
We appropriate. So
True.
it is we in Parliament to appropriate funds which will cater
Okay.
for these old persons in all these stages I've talked about.
All right, Honorable Jacob, I need to understand, when you are having conversations, as of now, you know, conversations of the framework, the budget framework paper per se, what are some of the things you consider as you're fronting for social protection? I need to understand as well. Do you normally, do you only focus on the old persons, or are there, you know, ideas that are shared in regards to the young or the youth, I should say? What are those things that you consider?
Like I said earlier, at the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection, we look at life cycle programming,
True.
life cycle budgeting. So we look at even mothers, pregnant mothers, because that's why I said from the womb to the grave. So we look at How do we advocate for more consideration, more funding by government and other actors to social protection to cater for the child in the womb, the child who is born, the youth, and the older persons. So we look at, first of all, that critical cycle. And then when we come to the issue of the older persons, we look at the numbers involved against the budget allocation. We look at the amounts of money required, and also the distribution. That's why at first, if you can remember, we had this program for SAGE covering 14 districts. Then it was scaled up to 15, then to 44 districts, and eventually to the entire country, because we were looking at all older persons being in need of support, and therefore being the same, and not looking at specific districts because it was so discriminatory. So we look at national coverage. We look at coverage of all older persons. As of now, we are talking of 80 years and above. But we are also saying there are even people who are below 80, but they are worse off than some of these and 80. But still, even if they are not worse off, they are older persons in this country, and they need to be addressed. So when we are advocating for budget allocation, we are also considering lowering the age, so that we have more money and more people being served. More money and more people being pulled out of poverty. So those are the things. And then also, apart from the money given to the older persons, we also look at things like the infrastructure setup to be able to serve them. Because these are older persons, they should be served at the nearest point possible. So government should be able to provide that money that enables the service providers to reach the nearest point convenient for an older person. Not very long distances, which makes some of them even find it not economically viable. Hire a border of 50,000 to go and pick 25,000. Someone would say, no, I think this is now a burden to me. I cannot sell my beans to go and pick. So we look at all those, reaching the nearest point where the older person feels conveniently served. Yeah.
Well, Honorable Peggy,
Yeah.
from your side, looking at what Honorable Jacob has actually put forward, what has been some of the pending issues that older persons have been facing over the years?
Actually, before I can answer that, I wanted to add on to what
Sure thing.
Honorable Palot has just said. You see, we have got a forum on social protection,
Okay.
and most of the members are the present members of parliament and the former members who were active members of that forum,
Okay.
who are on that forum. And the main work of that forum is to advocate, to mobilize, and to sensitize
Okay.
both the public, the clientele, and at the same time, when they have an issue, since they have so many, it is composed of MPs, then the members of parliament will take that issue on the floor of parliament to advocate for it, to fight for it. Say for, like the case of SAGE, that money that we are giving to our old persons, the 25,000, is so little. We want it to be added on. So it is through this forum of social protection where we sit and say, no, let's go to parliament and we try to fight for this thing and see whether that money can be improved. So they are really there. They are the voice. Social protection is the voice of the voiceless.
Okay. Now, going into the issues at hand that old persons have actually been reporting to your office, it may not be directly to your office, but what are some of those issues that they are facing that you feel that in the next financial year should as well be prioritized as a key factor?
Well, there are several issues. Most of these old persons, at their age, they have health issues. And the only way they can fight these health issues is for them if they have an income.
True.
So unless we have programs which can bring in incomes for these old persons, life becomes very difficult for them. And another thing, through social protection, when we realize that there are certain things which are not going on well, so we drum up, we try to talk to the concerned leaders, see that the life and the welfare of our old persons is being improved. That is some of the things we are doing. And if I may add on, I think really social protection has done much. Not only for old persons, even for people with disabilities and other disadvantaged groups.
And
maybe
sure.
just to add to what Honorable Peggy has said. She has mentioned the issue of health challenges.
Very key concern.
And in Uganda, only about 2% of the population have access to health insurance. It's possible, since you are one of the Ugandans, that maybe none of us here has access to health insurance. Now, if we don't, how about the older persons there? So most of them are grappling with the high out-of-pocket expenses on health. Then there is also this issue of security, just physical security. They have poor housing. You know, these are people from whom the unfair young people grab land, grab household items, grab the little money. You find there is a child taking care of you, but you cannot keep a coin in your pocket. Then we have also issues of food security, because they can no longer produce food for themselves. So to guarantee food security is a big challenge. That's why government really needs to be coming in, so that these people are empowered to have sustainable access to food. But there are also things like just the company. Company. You and me are here. My father is in the village, is an older person. I take a bit of time without seeing him, and yet they need us. They need us. Some people take months without even giving a call to their. So there is that loneliness that comes as a result of old age, because other people are out there busy trying to fend for themselves. So those are some of the issues that that arise.
Actually, when Honorable talked of the issue of loneliness, you see the way we are brought up in our culture. We have lived in extended families. You have your own children, you have children of relatives, your other relatives you are looking after. But now, as we are in our country, things are changing. Because most of our children are no longer living with us. They have gone in urban places. Some are here in Kampala, others are outside Uganda, others are in some other places looking for what? To feed their own children. So you find this old man and old woman, if they are lucky, they are still two. You find they are there just on their own in the village. And to make matters worse, some of our children, when they produce their own children in town, they bring back these children home to be looked after by their parents. And these are the parents who are now very weak. They can no longer dig as they used to do. They can no longer work. Even if he has a cow, he might even fail to go and look after it. So such problems are affecting our old persons. I think the youth need to be sensitized. The youth also need to know that much as their parents are older, they should also take care of looking after them. Not just to ignore them that after all they are old, or maybe my father is 80 years, he's getting sage money, or she is 60, is getting segop money. This is just nothing. It is just an additional. And not only our children. I think we also need to sensitize the whole society we are living in. I want to give an example of PDM. Now, as they planned this program of parish development model, the government decided that 10% in every parish strictly should be for old persons. But now these people in the parish, when this money comes, they don't tell these old people that you have your share here. With them, what they do, they just divide it around to people who are around. If an old person happens to be around, they include him. If he's not there, that is a forgotten.
Honorable, on that point of the programs, I want, when we do return after the break, to look at the various programs that the government is putting across to help old persons. But not only that, which other programs, in your view, do you think the government should also continue pushing? For you, our dear viewer, we will return shortly after the break to discuss more matters: social protection, financing, and then also looking into the aspect of preparing ourselves for retirement, especially when you're catching up with age, or when age is catching up with us, because no matter what it is, we shall all be old with time to come. But stick around. Good Morning Uganda Extra continues shortly after the break. We have more to discuss.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Ham Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
TB kills approximately 30 people daily, and 247 Ugandans fall ill of TB disease every day. TB has killed dreams and families. We all deserve a chance in life to hustle, smile. We all deserve a chance to dream and be the best version of ourselves. It is preventable and curable. Know your status. TB testing, treatment, and all TB-related services are free in all government hospitals and accredited private health centers.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Well, and many thanks for sticking around. We are back to our conversation this morning. Well, this is a very huge one, if you were to ask me, because we are looking deep into understanding social protection financing and looking at it in the bigger picture, securing enhanced allocations in the budget. The budget in question is not the current one, because the current financial year is coming to an end 30th June this very year, and financial year 2024-2025 will be kicking off from the 1st of July till the 30th of June 2025. And now we are putting our eyes onto that financial year because it is just 2 months away from now. Next week, which will be April 1st, will already be in the 4th month of the year. So that means we'll be already counting only 3 months to hit the end of the financial year 2023-2024. Enough of the financial talk though, because we are back to social protection financing as we are looking deep into what should be done, especially to protect the older persons. What can be done to help and uplift the persons who are into their retirement, besides the fact that they are facing issues to do with health and the fact that they are getting old, but the element of having some finances on them, the financial muscle, is very important to everybody in this current generation, because with that you can easily support yourself with the basics of life. You can also be able to meet 1 or 2, 3 emergencies that may occur as you're trying to live with life. And our conversation continues. My 2 guests are still with me, Honorable Jacob Richards, and then I also have Honorable Peggy Wako, who is the National Female Member of Parliament representing old persons in Uganda. And I'll get back directly to Honorable Peggy. Before we went into the break, you did mention something about the parish development model, which forced me to actually want to understand what other programs has the government been putting in place to ensure that old persons are considered, taken care of, and also protected.
Yeah, thank you so much, moderator. The government started with one program, SEG. By then, when they were starting this program, people who were beneficiaries were from 60 years onwards. But they were doing it on pilot project. They started with a few districts, but they started with 5. Then they went on increasing until they had reached 55. But then, we realized that if we are to cover the whole country, it will take a very long time.
Okay.
So we requested the government to have that program spread out so that everybody in the country who is old, who is 60 and above, and has no any other income can benefit from that SEG program. This one, when the technical people went to work it out, it could not work. Because first of all, the donors who were giving us some grants, some finances, had pulled out. Now, the money the government was using to pay, or which it is using now to pay these old persons, is just from our taxes. And this is the program which had started, and which was good for old persons, so they couldn't stop it. So they said, okay, let's spread through the whole country, but we continue with 25,000. That is one of the program.
Okay.
But then what they did, now they increased the years. They said in the districts where it has not been, where it has not started, we shall be giving those 80 years and above. But those who had started earlier, who were 60, at 60, those districts, they continued, they couldn't stop it. They continued supporting them. But these new ones which came in, now they give those which are 80. And you know what 80 years means to our people. Some of them are already weak. Others are very old. They cannot reach the paying centers. Some are, a lot of problems involved. Many of them don't have IDs because the way these IDs were given out at the beginning, people didn't take it as an important thing. We didn't know that even in future, it was going to affect old persons. And now most of these old people, they have wrong IDs. Even those who would be benefiting from that program, they are not benefiting because they gave wrong age. That is one program of SAGE, which is now catering for 80 years and above.
Okay.
So when we saw that one, a lot of people were being left out. We said, okay. We requested the president
Okay.
to give us some assistance. Willingly, the president gave us a grant of 10 billion. Now, when he gave us a grant of 10 billion, of course, this grant, we requested it in 2016 during the International Day for Old Persons. But you know, government thinks this, it was the directive from the president. Nobody followed it. It remained there until we ourselves, when we came to Parliament in 2021, it is when we followed it and this money was released. Now, when it was released, of course, the ministry had to plan for it. They said, okay, since we have these people from 60 onward, 79, let this money be given to those of 60, 79, let them form themselves into groups, maybe of 5 to 10 people, at least we are assisted. Unfortunately, it is when government had other problems, they had to catch all budgets. Instead of releasing the 10 billion at once, they first released 5 billion. Okay, we are also thankful for the 5 billion to be released. When it was released, the 5 billion, this was given to some groups. At least as I talk now, we have more than 50 groups which are benefiting from this grant. And the good thing, it has now gone into our budget planning, because now, even this year, we were expecting the government was going to release another 10 billion, but they have cut it down. They are going to release 5 billion. If it can continue coming, this is the money which is helping these old people, 60 to 79. These, though old, but they are still active, they are still strong, at least through our supervision. We have been going to the district for oversight, seeing what they are doing with this money. We have found people are using it very well. Some people have bought goats, some have, there is in the east there is somebody who bought even a cow. They are using it well, they are trading with it, they are not just wasting this money. So it has really an effect on the ground. That is from 60 to 79, that is another program, we call it SEGOP.
Okay.
Then good enough, I had talked about parish development model. When the parish development model, we requested the government to include the old persons. That's when the government gave the old persons the 10%. The good thing with the parish development model, at least every parish in Uganda is covered. So at least we know in every parish in Uganda, we have our 10%. This is 10 million for a parish. Me, I think this is something good.
Yes.
But as I had told you, some old people, because they are not informed, they are not aware, now when this money goes to the parish, instead of putting it aside for the old people only, they say, we are going, whoever is here, we are going to give those who are here. The old people also can benefit if they are not around. No, strictly, the 10% in every parish, which is 10 million, is strictly for old persons only. So I think those who have been making a mistake should note this down. So that is another third program which is helping our old persons.
Okay.
But then, you know, our old people, their health issues.
Yes,
we are now fighting for health insurance. If we can get a health insurance program, really our people will benefit. As my colleague, Honorable Poloti, as he said, only 2% of Ugandans benefit from the health insurance program.
Okay.
So the rest are fighting for themselves. And you know what happens. Most of these drugs cannot be found in our health units, and these private clinics, they are so expensive, so our old persons are really suffering.
Well, Honorable Opolo Jacob, I need to get to understand the financial bit of it. Let's look into the budget, the current budget and the next financial year budget. How much money was allocated for the old persons or for social protection, by the way, in this financial year? And then what do we expect in the next financial year?
Thank you, sir. I think we will now focus on social protection.
Sure thing.
Because it is wider than just talking about the
old persons. Okay, sure thing. How much was allocated for social protection?
I want to give you just a breakdown. First of all, this financial year, we are talking of 121 billion.
Okay.
The currently running financial year, 121 billion
for social protection,
for SAGE.
Okay.
And unfortunately, as the budget for next financial year was being worked out, this had been reduced by 800 million. So the current MTF figure is 120.2 billion. But as we said earlier here, we do a lot of advocacy, we do a lot of lobbying and sensitization. And as of now, we are assured that the 800 million has been reinstated to put the figure back to the 121 billion. And therefore, focus is still on the old number of those enrolled, meaning we have a challenge. We cannot bring on board more, and yet there are people who have hit 80 years and even more and need to be brought on board. So that is another angle of lobbying and advocacy that we have to do. But it's still good enough to find that we have 121 billion back as a starting point. And also on the SEGOP, which Honorable Peggy has mentioned about, unfortunately, the budget that had been promised was 10 billion, and have kept giving 5 billion. Even in the next financial year, they have still provided for 5 billion. But it's better than nothing.
You know, Honorable,
we can start.
Sorry to cut you short. I need to also understand what strategies has the Forum on Social Protection done to ensure that first, these particular social protection budgets are protected and then also enhanced?
Yeah, the strategies include engagements with the technocrats in the ministries.
Okay.
Engagement and mobilization and awareness raising with members of parliament.
Yeah.
Enrolling more membership from members of parliament. Engagement with the leadership of parliament and the ministers responsible. And also sending messages to the president for him to know that this is a very critical issue and it must be protected and dearly upheld. There is also the national special grant for persons with disabilities. We needed about 16.6 billion, but unfortunately, according to the provisions, the MTF, we have 13.2, giving us a shortfall of 3.4 billion. Then the food and non-food items for children and youth in institutions, these are remand homes and the correction centers, the campiringisas of the sorts. Just 641 million was needed, but 130 only has been provided for. So meaning 511, more than almost 70% of the budget required is not provided.
Okay.
Then we also have food and non-food items for persons with disabilities, where we need 332 million, but only 70 million. Yeah? Can you say you need 332, but only 70 million is provided for, leaving out to 262 million. How are you going to run those institutions with a mere 70 million? Then withdraw, rehabilitate, and settle street children. 5 billion is what we need, but not even a coin has been allocated. And yet we have street children all over Uganda, Kampala being the center of it all. We need to have these children removed and resettled so that they can live a meaningful life to become responsible citizens. It is safer and more decent for our country to have these children handled and rehabilitated and resettled for the sake of having good citizens. I already mentioned to you the SEGOP.
Okay.
And then there is implementing the acceleration of labor program.
Okay.
To enhance safe and rewarding external employment.
Okay.
We need 5 billion.
All right.
Provided for 2 billion. 3 billion less.
So
no wonder
okay.
you find a lot of outcry about the plight of our people who go out. And yet those who are attended to well generate a lot of foreign inflows for us. But in the risk to go and get these earnings, we find our people are mistreated, they are losing lives, and they are making a Ugandan look less of a human being out there, simply because we don't have enough to put into that program to ensure that we guarantee clean, safe, and reliable labor outflow.
Okay.
And then, of course, just briefly, the chemical safety and security program, and then the green jobs, which we need about to 6.2 or 6.3, but we have a total of 4.8, giving us a shortage of 1.5 billion. So these are all issues of social protection. But I've told you for the SAGE, it is 120 billion, 20.2 billion in the provided for in the budget, but we have been assured that the 800 has been reinstated to make it 121 as per what is in the current budget.
All right, and you get to also realize that amongst the many issues, by the way, the issue of financing is still a bigger one, because the financing and the shortfalls in the budget allocations is one thing that is also affecting the entire sector. Let me run into the recommendations, though. I'll start with Honorable Peggy. What would be your recommendations to the government? We have a new financial year coming up in the next 3 months, but then also looking at the level of the vulnerabilities of older persons. What initiatives can we further employ to ensure that these people are protected but also prioritized?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think one of the most important things is to recognize that these people exist, they are human beings, and they are part of our society. So whatever is allocated to them, it shouldn't be diverted, it shouldn't be stopped, it should come in full, however much small it is. If it came as it is allocated, I think the welfare of our vulnerable people would improve a lot.
Okay. And then back to Honorable Opolot Jacob, what would be your recommendations as well for you, I think, entirely to the social protection of the country?
My recommendation is, first of all, not far from what Honorable Peggy said, prioritizing older persons and all people in vulnerable categories, valuing them and providing adequate budget allocations that should be protected and ring-fenced.
Exactly.
You know, there is putting a figure, but there is releasing the money. That has been a big problem. Even when we celebrate the reinstatement of the 800 million to make it 800 million to make it 21 billion, we have to keep pressing
Make sure
hard
it comes.
that the money comes in full. And how I wish that as we go forward, this money comes naturally, smoothly, without haggling, bargaining for the good of the vulnerable categories of our population. And for that, we want to create a lot of awareness and do a lot of advocacy and lobbying. There are two key issues among or around the challenges with the social protection financing. Yes, we have financial challenges where we can't have enough money to do everything. But that is not a big problem. The other thing is mindset. How do we look at the financing of programs to do with vulnerable people? The moment you prioritize it, the money will be there.
Okay.
The money will be there. And that's what we want to do in the awareness raising, in our lobbying and advocacy, and other consultative engagements with the different stakeholders. When we make a breakthrough in mindset and commitment, the money will be found.
All right, let me get back to Honorable Peggy for your final regards as we're winding up with our show this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to thank all the people and others who have been listening to us. And I wish to remind them that soon the government is starting the program of registration. Many of them are having problems now because they don't have IDs or they have got the wrong IDs. So starting with June, government will be registering everybody throughout the whole country. So this is the time you should go and correct your ID if you want to get proper services within our government. Thank you.
All right. Any parting shot, Honorable Opalot?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I want to still add on to what Honorable Peggy has said, because it's a very important thing.
Okay.
To urge every Ugandan to make sure that they take advantage of the registration exercise that is upcoming, to have the right information about themselves. I remember some time back when the registration for the current IDs had started, I was on radio, I was on TV here. We talked to people, but they took it lightly, because if something is new, you don't know its future.
Okay.
But eventually we got caught up. Let everybody who qualifies to be registered go and register, and especially our older persons who missed out on registration,
okay,
or who gave wrong information. For some of them, they didn't know. People just helped them put any information for the sake of getting a card.
Yeah.
It is later that they realized that they had lost out. So I want to appeal to everybody in that category and everybody around them to ensure that they enable them to register and have genuine and reliable IDs. And I also want to thank UBC TV for giving us a platform to talk to the people and get them informed about the current goings on, and also to create an opportunity where they can send us feedback later at an appropriate time. So thank you, and all the best to the viewers.
All right. Indeed, all the best to all of you for keeping it here and watching us from the time we kicked off. 6:30 in the morning now. We are left with a minute to 10 o'clock. The Holy Week is here. I've been having two guests this morning. Honorable Peggy Wako, who is the National Female Member of Parliament representing old persons. She has been here in that capacity. And then at the far left of my sitting arrangement, I've had Honorable Jacob Richards Opolot, Advocacy Advisor, Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection. And our concern this morning, or our topic of concern, has been social protection financing, looking at securing enhanced allocations in the budget. The financial year 2023-2024 comes to an end June 30th, but then the one of 2024-2025 will then kick off 1st July 2024. For all of you who have been part of the show this morning, we will be back tomorrow, same time from 6:30 a.m. to inspire your morning with Good Morning Uganda. The entire team, production, everyone behind the camera, and of course the team that is always here to give you information and hot topics as well. But of course, just to remind you about the outbreak in Nakawa, for those of you who normally use the same, fires gutted a part of the Nakawa market, and the authorities will be establishing what led to that fire. And of course, we pray that the Almighty will enable those who have actually made losses to pick up in the shortest time possible. I am Jerome Paul Sonko. Have yourselves a good day. We shall be back tomorrow. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Ham Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko Pamoja?
TB kills approximately 30 people daily, and 247 Ugandans fall ill of TB disease every day. TB has killed dreams and families. We all deserve a chance in life to hustle, smile. We all deserve a chance to dream and be the best version of ourselves. It is preventable and curable. Know your status. TB testing, treatment, and all TB-related services are free in all government hospitals and accredited private health centers.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
I was talking to one of the photographers, who, by the way, died. I leaned back a little in the center of the room. That's what basically saved me. They hadn't entered yet. They were shooting outside the entrance. And then, as I was somehow realizing and evaluating the situation, the right thing to do was to run to the service entrance. But I knew I couldn't make it. So the only way out was to lie down on the escalator. As I started to squat down, they opened fire at me. They shot at me and broke off this little ledge of the escalator here. The only injuries I actually suffered were cuts on my fingers. So after a little while of crawling, I realized that my camera was still operable. I crawled out again and started filming. Those people in the video who were trying to take cover behind the column and tables are now all gone.
2 days have now passed since the tragedy. Let's take a look back at how it all unfolded, just to warn you that there are graphic images ahead.
We're at a concert in Crocus City Hall. There's some kind of shooting going on here. People are running, everyone's screaming. They're shooting from a gun. They're shooting at the crowd. Some people are shooting. The hall was set on fire. We were set on fire.
But amid all the horrors and the carnage, tales of true heroism have emerged, including of a concert-goer who pounced on one of the gunmen as he was reloading his weapon. It's thought that his courage allowed many to escape to safety. He is now set to receive a special award.
3 of them walked along the mezzanine, and a 4th appeared just before the stairs. I saw him near the partition. He had just shot some people in cold blood. I looked at my wife and realized that. I saw a wild horror in her eyes. I realized that I had to do something. At that moment, when he caught up with us, he began to reload his weapon. I had a second to think. I assessed the movement. I pushed my wife, and I ran around him to the left, grabbed the machine gun with my left hand and pulled it down. And with my right hand, I began to strike him on the head. He began to go down. I grabbed him by the neck with my left hand and also continued to strike. At that moment, another man ran up to me. He also dealt a couple of powerful blows, more powerful, and we knocked out the gunman.
Another act of bravery was shown by a group of teenagers who worked part-time as cloakroom attendants. They helped more than 100 people to safety via an emergency exit.
Туда, 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 туда! Все уходите в ту сторону! Меня не убегай, Женя! Все туда, 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 туда! В Экспо! В Экспо! Люди стреляют, 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 стреляют!
Что там, выход есть?
I work at a cloakroom in the basement. It was a normal working day. No one expected such a tragedy to happen. At 8 p.m. there was the last call for the show, and 8 o'clock sharp the attack started, like they had a special plan, starting exactly at 8. In group chats we had a message that there was a terrorist attack, and well, basically I was ready for that. We had training on what to do. There were hundreds of people. I started shouting all over the city hall that there was shooting, and I was ordering people to run to the expo center. I saw one terrorist with a beard, dressed in green camouflage with a gun. He was heading towards the concert hall. He was 30 meters from me. He didn't see me. In front of me, a man had been shot. There was a mess and everyone was shocked. No one knew what to do, but I tried to help everyone, and almost all followed my instructions. I did my job honestly. I don't think I'm a hero. It was part of my job.
At the time when the attack started, we, together with other employees and visitors, heard a series of gunshots and ran towards the office. When the shots started, I realized that we had to run away and get people out. I tried to stay calm and help everyone. We shouted to people where to go, to the emergency exit, so that everyone would get away. We showed them where to go. I'm classmates with Islam. We have been friends for several years. We worked together that night in saving people. He took people through a service door, and I took the others through the emergency exit.
The composure of a security guard at the venue has also been acknowledged. He's said to have kept a cool head amidst the chaos, helping to quickly evacuate a large portion of the crowd from the smoke-logged building. Well, in the aftermath of the atrocity, survivors have been recounting the horrific ordeals that they endured on that fateful night.
We were in Crocus City Hall at a concert of the band Picnic. We heard pops that sounded like gunfire. A very large number of spectators, including us, thought that perhaps these were some kind of special effects before the concert. People said that there's no need to panic, there's no need to rush somewhere, let's go out slowly. But in the end, they finally succumbed to general panic and began to run out of the auditorium. The first exit, there was a crowd there. We couldn't get out, so we returned to approximately our row. My friend pushed me to the floor and we crawled in the other direction. And that's when they started shooting inside the auditorium, somewhere very nearby, and we ran out through the second exit into the corridor.
Emergency services have been working to improve access to the scene of the devastation. Heavy machinery has also been brought in to cut through and clear just some of the wreckage. Well, aerial footage like this really gives us an idea of the scale of the destruction. So the building that's home to the Crocus City Concert Hall has been completely destroyed. RT's Marina Kostrova took to the skies to survey the damage herself.
Under any other circumstances, this would be a very exciting and interesting opportunity. But of course, we are going on a helicopter ride at about 100 meters height to take a look at the site of the massacre and see the level of destruction. We are now approaching the site of the terrorist attack. Now, it's normally being described as a shopping mall. There is a shopping mall next to it. There's also an expo center. This is a very large territory where people come out here to hang out. There are lots of exhibitions, not only concerts. So it's a concert hall, then an expo center, and, terrifying, a large supermarket, which is why there were a lot of people Friday night as well. We are now approaching the concert hall, where we can see the roof has completely collapsed, the dome in the concert hall. The fire spread around 13,000 square meters. And it was so hard for firefighters that they couldn't even use specialized equipment in the first 24 hours. They had to work by hand and sort through the metal and the rubble. From the top, you can really see the level of destruction. Now, the owners have reportedly said that they will rebuild it and that they will not allow terrorists to destroy the livelihood of the Russian people, and that they will rebuild the concert hall, make sure that people can go back there and enjoy it once again. It's quite foggy today, but we can still see exactly how much destruction those terrorists caused.
All throughout Sunday, long lines formed at the site of the tragedy, with people wishing to pay their respects. Well, the commemoration began with a song by a famous Soviet singer, whom the hall is named after. As you saw just a few seconds ago, images of white cranes, a symbol of purity and peace, were projected onto the building. It was an emotional moment, with many visibly overcome by tears. Russia's president also paid tribute to the victims at a solemn ceremony inside a church. Vladimir Putin lit a candle and prayed for those who lost their lives. But Moscow has not been alone in its mourning, with a procession called Cranes taking place nationwide. RT's Roman Kostrov reports from the Donetsk Republic.
Russian President Vladimir Putin declared March 24th as a day of national mourning for the victims of a terrorist attack in Moscow. All across the country, various events are being held. This particular one is called Cranes, where a crane is a symbol of selfless support for all the victims that died in the terrorist attack. Donetsk is no exception.
In my heart, there is more tragedy and panic. I was watching the news on social media. My whole family was watching and sympathizing with those people who were there. People were shot at point-blank range. I live in Donetsk Republic. I face Ukrainian terrorism. Kiev constantly shells our territory. But what was happening there, what people experienced, it was just impossible for me. The pain resonates in our hearts and in our souls. And all the guys who came today, they share this collective pain. And that's how they make a gesture of remembrance. This gesture of ours also happens in not very safe conditions.
Most of these young people are about 18 to 20 years old. That means that 10 years ago, at the start of the Ukrainian aggression against the people of Donbass, they were barely in elementary school, and they know full well what terrorism feels like.
We know more about terrorism than anyone else. We know what ruthless killing is. We are sure that all those responsible will be punished.
Over the last couple of days, at least 2 civilians were wounded by Ukrainian artillery shelling here in Donetsk Republic. Private infrastructure was destroyed as well. The terrorism that began 10 years ago continues to this day. Despite all that, the people are here mourning for the victims in Moscow. Roman Kalsarev, RT, Donetsk Republic.
Meanwhile, the US has once again firmly denied any Ukrainian involvement in the atrocity, with the Vice President Kamala Harris quizzed on the matter.
Vladimir Putin is already trying to link this to Ukraine and say that Ukraine is responsible. Does the U.S. have any evidence to back that up?
No, there is no whatsoever any evidence. And in fact, what we know to be the case is that ISIS-K is actually, by all accounts, responsible for what happened.
It took the American government only hours to reach that conclusion that ISIS-K was responsible. That was even before the terror group itself had claimed it was behind it. The speed at which that judgment was made very different to how back in 2001 it took Washington nearly a month to figure out that Osama bin Laden had masterminded the 9/11 attacks. Plus, whilst it's been almost 2 years since the Nord Stream pipelines were blown up, Washington still says it doesn't know what happened. Well, with news of the attack only just filtering out on Friday evening, Washington seemingly made it a priority right off the bat to absolve Ukraine of any involvement. RT's Donald Corter has been digging into that story.
A raging inferno, the crackling of assault rifles. Innocent people who expected to enjoy themselves at a concert at Crocus City Hall in Moscow region were abruptly met with a bloodbath. And the West seemed to have known who was to blame from the very beginning, before any official information was available.
Putin's trying to mobilize people and send them to the front, and so there's a lot going on there. But this has all the hallmarks of ISIS.
Look, I think that it's clear that ISIS carried out this attack. There was some discussion earlier this morning in terms of, was it a false flag or was it something like ISIS? It's clear now it's ISIS.
Marauding gunmen going around trying to kill as many civilians as possible. That is the kind of thing we've seen ISIS doing in the past. For instance, we saw it at a concert in Paris in 2015 at the Bataclan Theatre, something very similar.
At the same time, the White House had the nerve to say, well, we warned you.
Earlier this month, the U.S. government received information about a planned terrorist attack in Moscow, potentially in places of mass gatherings, including concerts, which prompted the State Department to issue a public warning to Americans in Russia.
Sure, the U.S. Embassy in Moscow earlier released a cryptic warning of an impending attack in Moscow, but there was no talk of ISIS. Perhaps Washington knew more than it's letting on, and reneged on the duty of its intelligence services to warn potential targets of terrorist activity.
If the United States, as well as other countries, have or had reliable data on this matter, it should be immediately handed over to the Russian side. If there is no such data, then neither the White House nor anyone else has the right to grant indulgence to anyone. All those involved, as the Russian leadership has said, will be identified by the competent authorities.
Then again, Washington had also previously promised that the money it sends to Ukraine would mean some nasty surprises for Russia. And there are those in the West who are able to put two and two together.
With this money, Ukraine will be able to fight back in the East, but it will also be able to accelerate the asymmetric warfare that has been most effective on the battlefield. And as I said in Kyiv 3 weeks ago, this supplemental funding will ensure Putin faces some nasty surprises on the battlefield this year.
I believe that Ukraine is moving into a period of a new phase of the war, the insurgency phase. And I said specifically that we are going to see terrorist attacks and insurgent attacks using false flag provocations, blame them on somebody else, say this wasn't us, we don't have any fingerprints on this.
Here's where things get even more strange. The terrorists who carried out this attack were not ideologically motivated, as is usually the case with ISIS. They admitted to carrying out this massacre for money, a measly 500,000 rubles, which is just a little bit more than $5,000.
What were you doing in Crocus?
Shooting.
What? Shooting?
Yes.
Who?
People.
What for? Pull him up, please.
For money.
For money?
Yes.
For how much money?
About $500,000.
$500,000 what?
$500,000 rubles.
Who did you receive it from?
I haven't received it yet. I've received half of it.
Where did you get it?
On my card.
Did you get the money put on a card?
Yes.
Where's the card?
The card was thrown out with all the clothes.
You lost it?
Yes.
On top of that, they were apparently heading to Ukraine, where a metaphorical red carpet was rolled out for them.
All four of the direct perpetrators of the terrorist attacks, all those who shot and killed people, were found and detained. They tried to hide and move towards Ukraine, where, according to preliminary data, a window was prepared for them from the Ukrainian side to cross the state border. A total of 11 people were detained. The Federal Security Service of Russia and other law enforcement agencies are working to identify and uncover the entire terrorist support base.
The U.S. has since begun to shield Kiev from any blame, a government that Russia is actively fighting a war with and has its own history of terrorist attacks.
There is no indication at this time that Ukraine or Ukrainians were involved in the shooting. But again, this just broke. We're taking a look at it, but I would disabuse you at this early hour of any connection to Ukraine.
Hired killers, fingers pointed at ISIS, and Western governments seemingly not telling the whole story. It all looks like a classic story of puppets having their strings pulled from behind the scenes.
ISIS or Al-Qaeda or other terrorist groups, radical Islamic terrorist groups, they are a weapon and they are mercenaries for the Americans and the American Secret Service. They're the ones who funded them, trained them, made them, and gives them the orders. They use them in Syria, in Libya, all over the world. Any country who is against the United States and against the United States policies, they use them. And there was a military expert research in Syria said that there was Ukrainian officials met Kurdish officials in al-Shaddadi military base in east of Syria with the Americans, and there was a deal between them to get out the ISIS terrorists who are the roots, who are from Chechnya, Uzbek, Tajikistan, all those countries, and who speak Russian, to get them out and send them to Ukraine. So yes, there is, it might be ISIS, but under the orders of the United States and the orders of the United States Secret Service.
And host of InfoWars, Alex Jones. Now, he's questioned Washington's rush to blame Islamic State.
Before Putin and the Russian government came out 10 hours or so after the attack and said, when they say ISIS, we believe that's a cutout for Ukraine. I was saying that because I have the Jerusalem Post right here and all the other mainstream media admitting that ISIS was created by Obama and that ISIS was actually funded by the West in the attacks on Syria. And we have clips of Obama saying he was funding ISIS. So ISIS is just a cutout term they use. Then they go, Western intelligence, from what I believe, hire these people to go in and do this, and then ISIS takes the blame, and then the West can then have plausible deniability. Well, in this case, Western intelligence, other groups, Ukraine, I believe, because that's where they were trying to flee back to, go out and advertise, come here, we'll bring you to Russia, we'll give you weapons, launch this attack, you'll be able to escape, we'll blame ISIS, kind of like they blamed the Nord Stream pipeline on Russia. Why would Russia blow up its own pipeline when it's one of its main funding mechanisms? And that's where all the evidence points to. We've had Zelensky launch all these massive drone attacks inside Russia. We've had cross-border attacks that haven't gotten a lot of attention with paramilitary inside Russia killing people. We've seen journalists, Daria Dugin and others blown up. And so Victoria Nuland said a month ago, we're about to give Russia nasty surprises. And they've now put in charge of most of their military operations an intelligence chief that's an expert on terror. And so Operation Gladio was a NATO plan from the 50s into the 80s that's partially declassified, that if Russia ever starts winning any type of conflict in Europe, whether it's offensive against Russia or the other way around, that stay-behind networks under Operation Gladio would then stage terror attacks and actually blame the Russians for it as a pretext to turn public opinion against them. So before Putin came out and said he believed it was Ukraine and NATO behind this, I had already said that because I've been researching NATO and its policies, and under NATO's military doctrine, when it loses a war, which this is NATO Russia's fighting, when it loses a war, it then shifts to asymmetrical warfare and terrorism. So I believe all the evidence points towards that. With no evidence, DW.com and then the Germans and others are saying Putin staged this with no evidence. But clearly you see them catching the terrorists, trying to get back to the border into Ukraine. They're interrogated live on the spot and just say, I know nothing, I was given money to do this. That's exactly what Western or globalist intelligence would do, is have useful idiots that have been paid money to carry this out, believing they had a way to escape. But if I really speculated, which I'm speculating now, I would imagine Ukrainian intelligence probably burned them and told the Russians where to grab them so they could set them up and say it was ISIS.
Words of condemnation of the attack continue to come in from all around the world. African leaders are among the latest to express their condolences to Russia. Nigerian journalist Timothy Obiezu has more on that.
The deadly terror act at the Moscow concert venue on Friday has sparked widespread condemnation and reactions from Africa, the continent which knows all too well the horror of terrorism. Hence, the compassion as many people visited Russian embassies in their respective countries to pay respect to the slain victims. African leaders for many years have been actively uniting their fronts against acts of terror in often protracted wars against radical groups. The Sahel has become the epicenter of terrorism globally, accounting for 43% of terrorism deaths in 2022. Violent extremism is spreading across the continent at an alarming rate, including from Daesh's affiliates. On Saturday, Niger's National Council for the Safeguard of the Homeland, or CNSP, issued a statement on X condemning the killings and pledged to enhance cooperation with Russia to fight terrorism in the Sahel.
It's good other countries steps in to help others, because I would say one country cannot do it all by themselves. So I believe it's a welcome idea.
It's quite unfortunate that terrorism has become the order of the day. As we can see, it's happening almost every part of the world. Even in Africa, Nigeria, we're suffering the same thing. And this one, particularly in Russia, it's a bit surprising because we know Russia as one of the strong powers, okay? So it's quite unfortunate for such an incident. So we just hope they come out of this stronger.
Anything terrorism should not be condoned anywhere in the world. Be it Africa, Asia, America, anywhere. Should not be condoned.
It is very unfortunate, especially that attack is against a civilian target, people that are, in a theater going about their own business. Now, even while we know there are clashes at the strategic and military level, you'd expect to see attacks in the battlefield. But when attacks stray and enter into the main towns, it is something very unfortunate.
Nations like Namibia and Senegal joined these condolences. Namibia's President Nangolo Mbumba described the killing as senseless, while his Senegalese counterpart Macky Sall voiced solidarity with the government and people of Russia.
Well, for all the very latest updates about Friday's terror attack, which took the lives of at least 137 people, head over to our website, RT.com. And that is our signing off from Moscow just for this hour. We are heading stateside now and handing over to Rick Sanchez. Direct Impact is up next in just a minute or so.
BBC, inspiring Uganda.
Development Response to Displacement Impact Project, DRDIP, is a 5-year project focusing on addressing the impact of the protracted presence of refugees on the host communities in the 5 Intergovernmental Authority of Development (IGAD) countries. In Uganda, DRDIP, a flagship Government of Uganda project funded by the World Bank and is implemented under the Office of the Prime Minister.
Dr. Dip has helped to facilitate dialogues between refugees and host communities.
Peace is preached in church, peace is emphasized in community meetings, in every place where people are gathered. As a community leader, our aim was majorly to see that the hosting community and the refugees stay together.
I've seen even now the host, especially the refugees coming and marrying. There is now intermarriage between the refugees and the hosting communities.
In the past, our students, the citizens and the village would clash, say, over source of water, over any small issue they would clash.
Progress is fueled by the commitment to ensure that every refugee feels welcome and every host community feels enriched by the presence of refugees and all have a chance to thrive.
Don't miss DRDIP Social Cohesion documentary on 26th March 2024 at 7:30 p.m. on UBC TV.
become the first fruits of faith that's it. Now is Christ risen from the dead and become the first fruits of faith that's it. Now is Christ risen from the dead and become the first fruits of faith that's it. Yeah.
BBC, inspiring Uganda.
Amabala ni Sanyu Grace.
My name is Sanyu Grace and I reside in Chitebutula A village, Njala Parish, East Division, in the Central City. We received a 4 million loan from UWEP. We are widowed women striving to support ourselves. Each woman runs her own individual business, which includes activities like bricklaying, operating a retail shop, and in my case, farming.
Was brought to you by
just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
The Property Lane.
Welcome to the Property Lane, where it's everything real estate. Once again, I'm your host, Catherine Nanteza, and with me today, we continue a series on affordable housing. I hope you enjoyed yourself last time. Well, today I have a surprise for you. I have the MD himself joining us right here at Universal Multipurpose Enterprises Limited in his office. He's going to tell us the journey of affordable housing. What are the challenges? What can one do to increase affordable housing? Why should I spoil it for you? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me the MD himself, Mr. Mufadel. The other name you'll say yourself. Yes, say hi to the viewers.
Hi everyone. My name is Mufaddal Yolavala. I am the MD of Universal Group. We are doing affordable housing since past 2015, and we have completed more than 2,500, 2,700 apartments, and we continue to strive harder.
So Mufadel, tell me.
Yes.
I know Abbas tried to hint on it, but what led to your coming to Uganda, and why condominiums? I mean, you could have done, most of us love the standalone houses. Why condominium properties?
Let me tell you a story, Catherine.
Yeah.
I came to Uganda initially for a paint factory.
Oh.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But when I came here, I saw the deficit of housing in Uganda. Okay. According to what the recent reports, it is 2.4 million units. And that is what caught our eyes, that, clothing, roof and food, these are the three basic things in what anybody needs in a house. Yeah. So we tried and do one project in Seguku initially, and that is when we realized that it is a very essential thing which is missing. So we just trying to do a very small bit to provide for an affordable housing for the local Ugandan.
In Seguku, was that affordable?
Yes.
And how about Boyogerere? Was that after?
Seguku, the one bedroom we were selling at 35 million. Okay. And in Boyogerere, we sold it at 53 million.
You said 35?
Yes.
Can we still have those? Because when we talk affordable, people get confused. Mm-hmm. And I think what we want to say is low-cost housing.
Okay.
Because affordable varies from person to person. What is affordable to you may not be affordable to me.
Okay.
And so 35, that would do the trick. Why can't we still get those?
Okay. Two things. I completely agree with your perspective, Kathy, that affordable is a very subjective matter. Everybody has their own perspective of affordable housing. Secondly, today we really want to do houses below 50 million, but the cost of construction, the cost of raw material, the cost of land is restricting us.
How?
Because the cost, almost like in past 7-8 years, the cement prices started from 20,000. It has gone up to like 37 right now. You understand?
That's high.
So the same thing has happened with land, with every raw material. So it has resulted in making it very difficult to keep it at a low price. But still, Universal is trying to do its bit. We are still the most affordable housing. We are at 98 million shillings in Kajansi.
Okay.
We have a 2-bedroom at 153 million. We have a 3-bedroom at 175. We are still trying to juggle our way to make sure that we are trying to cater to that need of affordable housing to the local Ugandans.
Okay, just so you know, that is one of the things that is key priority right now to government when it comes to housing. Government is trying to find ways of producing affordable or low-cost housing to Ugandans. And so I'm asking, how, as a developer, how can government come in to help? Okay, we may not get 35, probably that was then, but can we be able to get an apartment at 15 million Uganda shillings? What's that in dollars, by the way, like 15,000?
Yes, less than 15,000.
Yeah.
Definitely, first what we have to do is the government has to segregate the two, affordable and low cost.
Okay.
You need to understand, because if we try and merge the two, or we try confuse the two, it becomes two different things. It does not happen.
Yeah.
So we are concentrating on affordable housing. In affordable housing, the way the government can and is playing a part around the world is 3 or 4 basic things. First is government has a lot of land in Uganda. If it is provided to developers at a low cost or at a subsidized pricings. Second is taxation benefit for affordable housings.
Okay.
And lastly, making the whole approval and titling process as streamlined as possible, so that it results in getting the house chap and at a low price. Because you understand, if the house delays, the cost on the house keeps on increasing.
Okay.
So the trick here in affordable housing is the turnaround time. You have to finish and get into the next very fast.
So what holds you? What causes that delay in the turnaround? Is it financing? What causes that delay?
Us, mostly, as I said, the whole government approval processing sometimes, the land titling, the condominium titles. It's a very tedious and a very you can say time consuming, financially constraining process.
Okay. Okay, what's the biggest cost of construction to put up like one of your projects? Like what project is this?
This is Macau. This is Macau. This is the first affordable housing duplex project in Uganda.
I've seen some adverts.
Sitting and kitchen and a bedroom down, and inside your own house you have your own private staircase. You go up and you have your 2 bedrooms on the first floor.
That's new.
Yeah. So you get a villa setting inside your apartment.
So if we were to produce this kind of project, it's sitting on what size of land?
This is almost like 1.5 acres.
1.5 acres. How many condo apartments?
This is approximately 110 units.
110 units. So we are looking at parking of how much per?
In this you get 1 unit gets 1 parking, and there are like some parking for the guests.
So just to understand affordable housing, what would be the biggest cost? Is it land?
No, land is not the biggest cost. The biggest cost is the construction.
Okay.
Yes, but land is also a cost. You understand? For making it affordable, and if we want the government to help us somehow, it has to be holistically.
Okay.
It cannot just be that reduce the land price. No, it has to be reduced land price. It has to be taxation.
Don't tax the construction materials so they can come lower.
The processing for the titling and everything and the approvals and infrastructure from the government. If everything is worked simultaneously, then it becomes more affordable.
In present day,
yes,
how much would an apartment then cost for a 2-bedroom, which should be the minimum for a family, but the ideal being a 3-bedroom? If all that was brought to an ideal situation, how much would a 2-bedroom cost and how much would a 3-bedroom then cost?
Okay, I had done rough calculations for a project of mine, and I think roughly a 2-bedroom would cost approximately around 95 to 110 million, 95 million or 110, and a 3-bedroom would cost around 115 to 125.
We can't go below 100?
For a 2-bedroom, we can definitely try, you understand, we can definitely try.
When everything is in balance, not the current situation.
Too much of hypothecation is also not right, because you can say, oh, everything is falling in place. It is not possible. Okay. So you will have one segment which is not in place, okay, because we are humans, everything cannot be perfect. So in that case scenario, I think this should be the ideal situation for somebody to hit the goal post.
So it has nothing to do with the fact that your projects are mostly in high-end or, okay, the neighborhoods of the good high-end places. Say for instance, if we were to go away from the very expensive land, this expensive neighborhood, would the cost change or it still comes back to construction?
No, definitely the cost will change, understand, Kathy, okay, those are the 4 points which I spoke to you. Land, construction cost, infrastructure, and the approvals, I mean the government processes. The land is a basic, is amongst the cost. But the problem is, when I have done a project which was a little away, but people didn't like it. So it has to be for the client centric. Okay. You see, in affordable housing, who is going to buy? A local Ugandan. Why?
And that's the one I'm fighting for.
Yes. And why will he buy? Because he wants to go very easily from his house to his workplace. So he should be on a walking distance to the tarmac.
Okay.
You see? And from the tarmac, he should get a matatu, he should get a boda boda, he should have be able to drive his car to his office and reach there within 30-40 minutes.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
So if you make it very far away, it does not fit and the client is not approving of it.
Wow. Thank you. You do make very good points. Dear viewers, we are going to take a very short break. We will be right back with Mr. Mufadel to tell us more about affordable housing and how you and I can afford his properties. Thank you. See you shortly. Welcome back from that very short break. I hope you're enjoying yourself. I am. I wanted to ask Mufadel, before we took the break, you were talking of infrastructure, and it's not the first time I'm hearing about that from developers. Probably, what do you mean? Is there a challenge in infrastructure? What exactly do you mean by infrastructure?
Okay, infrastructure starts...
and how does government come in? Okay.
Infrastructure starts from the road network. Okay. Then it comes to power, umeme. You know, currently we are spending almost the same cost of a title on a meter of umeme.
Top numbers.
It is almost more than $150.
Okay.
That is quite expensive. You need to understand. It is also costing us.
Especially in a project of 110. So
no, we are doing at least we are doing right now 1,000 houses. So
how before you go from that, if I just want you not to forget, how would they come in? Like you want physical Yaka meters or the transformer?
Agreed. The transformer has to be affordable. The Yaka meter has to be more affordable. And the water meters, the title process and everything has to be more affordable. That's what I feel.
Let's talk numbers again. What's the percentage of that to your entire project? For the infrastructure cost on a developer to the entire project, in terms of percentages, it's like what percentage?
Almost like 10-15%.
That's big. 10-15%. That's big. Okay, so if our government was to come in, what would you want them to do?
Just make it more streamlined, as affordable as possible, as cheap as possible, or give some processes which becomes easy.
Okay.
You understand? So it becomes more reachable for the developers and everybody to get those things done.
Now that we are talking numbers, how do you come to your pricing and how do you make it affordable?
Our game plan is very simple. As I stated in the start of the interview, is that the turnaround time. I have a very passionate and a very strong team, by God's grace, who are doing excellent sales. They keep on running. They are like the engine in the whole system. They keep on blowing, making sure that the company is going. Even in the toughest times, Universal was selling.
During COVID?
Every time. I'm telling you, my sales team, I am so proud of them that I fail to understand that their energy level is so high that they keep on.
Like, how long does it take you to sell a project?
My girls are quite capable. They do it within a day. They visit, they make sure the client visits, and that day they deposit.
I'm saying from construction to finish. How long does it take you to sell an entire project? Say Macau.
We'll take at least 2 years for the whole project construction to finish.
Okay.
Collections and sales are two different departments. Sales will finish, I think so. Macau, we are 90% sold out. We are not even 50% on construction.
Wow.
And then the client keeps on paying small installments for another 2 years and then completes the balance. Yes.
You should tell us your trick.
No, I tell you, it is by God's grace. It is completely by God's grace. It is the will of Him that is making us move. It is just trying to make the image of affordable housing continue.
If I was a new player on the market and I want to join the affordable space, what would you tell me?
Please don't join. You are increasing my competition.
Okay, I want to reduce on the deficit, the 2.5, of course.
I'm just joking. You see, affordable housing is a very vast market. If there are like 100 universals also coming up, still the market is big enough.
We want 200,000 to 300,000 units per year.
Yes.
How much of that can you produce?
We are producing, at least for the past 3 years, we have produced almost like 600-700 units a year.
That's so little.
Huh?
That's little.
Yeah.
So it means we need as many people in
the people who are coming. A new person who is coming into this market has to make sure that he has the capital or the capacity for at least 3 projects.
Okay.
You understand?
Not one and then you start.
Yes, not even, because some of the people, they start, they do half of it, they are stuck, the sales are down sometimes, and this is down, that is down. So what happens is it just makes it difficult. Okay. It makes it difficult to at least complete the project for the developer or move into the next one or the third one. Okay. You understand? Yeah. So in this case, the client who has bought the unit, for example, out of 50 units, he has sold 10. He's not able to sell the 40 for certain reasons. Number of reasons could be. But what happens is the client, those 10 have deposited a huge amount of money. But he's not able to complete because he does not have that kind of finance. The bank has refused to add him finance or something. So he's stuck. The project will get stuck. So these 10 clients will lose not only money but also faith in housing. Okay. And these 10 will tell their relatives. So it becomes a boomerang effect.
It does.
So it is difficult. So a developer, when he's coming, according to my calculation, he should have funds for at least 3 projects.
3? How many are you running at the moment?
We are running almost like 7 unit projects right now.
How do you handle in terms of finance?
As I said, it is done by God. I don't have the capacity. Wow. But we try and commit what we can and only start a project when we know we can finish it with our own finances. By God's grace, till now, I don't think any of Universal projects is stuck.
Okay, I should ask this. What's the trick? Because I remember when Affordable had come in, they first gave us a product that was not for Ugandans. Tiny bedrooms, tiny kitchen, and also the concept of open kitchens was very new. And so people were not so forthcoming with the Affordable. But what kept you going? And what has made you succeed like that?
Let me tell you, I'm very emotional about this. Yeah. When the thing which keeps us going is the happiness or the emotion which a client has when after giving his hard-earned money and moves into the house. You see that first reaction on that client's face, because this house is everything for him. Wow. That emotion, that feel when you see that client is everything for us in Universal. Not only me, everyone. The passion which we work over here is everyone has got that. They will make sure that the client is happy, and that gives energy to each and every one of us, which keeps us going.
So was it easy to, I know we talked about it last time, but now talking to the MD, was it easy to penetrate the condominium?
No, it was definitely not too easy. It was definitely not easy. Initially, as you suggested, I was one of those people who designed a house which is an Indian concept. Okay. But Ugandan have a different concept of house.
So we want a backyard. Yeah. Even on an apartment, we are using charcoal. Are you putting that also as you talk about this?
That is why the house which we are having right now, it's designed by a Ugandan, it is built by a Ugandan, and it is for a Ugandan. So the taste is completely Ugandan. Do you understand? It is like a matoke which is not being made by a Muzungu. It is a matoke which is being made,
which is pressed in banana leaves, you know.
It is here, it is freshly prepared by us together, so that it tastes completely Ugandan.
Have you made a provision for that, like an outside maid's room? You know, Ugandans love boys' quarters. If you've noticed, every big house has a boys' quarter. It was for a reason. Like for instance, when our mother-in-laws come, they are not allowed to sleep in the same house with us. In some of the cultures, not all of them. But also when the boys grow, they move to the boys' quarter. How is Universal catering to that? The outside kitchen where we use firewood and charcoal. The one where we hide our mess and bring the clean matoke to the dining table. Yes.
So there are 2 points over here. There are 2 points. First is how do we cater for matoke or charcoal, and the second is how do we cater for the maid's room. First, for the charcoal, every unit which Universal provides has its own kitchen balcony, where a client is free to use whatever he wants and produce whatever he wants for the house.
So they can put a store, or it's provided?
Yeah, until and unless the whole condominium society is allowing, it is okay for us. Second, which is the outside house. It brings us back to the concept of affordable housing. If somebody can afford, it is there in our project.
Okay.
If somebody cannot afford it, it is there, but you can't afford. You understand? We have small rooms where somebody can sleep outside, but it is at an additional cost. Chitegera.
You've even learned Uganda.
Yes.
How long have you been in Uganda?
I've been here almost 10 years now.
Okay, what are the future plans for Universal Multipurpose Enterprise in particular? Do you have any surprises for us?
Universal Multipurpose is having very, very beautiful or surprising or very interesting projects which are coming in very shortly. Okay. We have a lot of things in pipeline. We want to continue the affordable housing segment, but giving something extra to the clients. Okay. We have been giving almost like a project for past so many years, every 3-4 months. Every 3-4 months Universal keeps on giving a new project. And we will try and continue to do that, try and reduce the housing deficit as much as possible. But this year is going to be really remarkable. Okay. We are looking at a lot of relationships with a lot of partners and making something totally out of the box, different, which will not only enlighten other developers but also bring a spark to the affordable housing segment in Uganda.
Wow, thank you so much, Mofadel. It's been an interesting conversation.
Thank you.
I personally would like to appreciate everyone that is contributing to the reduction of that housing deficit. It's not easy. I don't know how you guys have managed, but I think there is still a need.
Yes.
There is still a need. What would you want to tell the viewers in 1 minute?
Please do not select an housing apartment without checking properly if the developer has completed projects earlier, if the developer has done proper housing segment, has completed his promise on the given time, and make sure you visit as many projects before choosing one. And I'm sure at the end of it you will choose Universal.
Thank you so much. As we come to the end of this show, it's been a very interesting time getting to learn about affordable housing. I'd like to send greetings to those that have faithfully watched the Property Lane from the start till now. I get your messages. Greetings to Gaviola, to Emma, to Donnell, and everyone that is watching Property Lane, to Mr. Mongati, Paul, the Ministry of Housing. Keep sending your feedback. We love you and we would like to hear more from you. We want to know what you want to see next time, but we still have a lot in store. So see you next time.
Inspiring Uganda.
Development Response to Displacement Impact Project DRDIP is a 5-year project focusing on addressing the impact of the protracted presence of refugees on the host communities in the 5 Intergovernmental Authority of Development (IGAD) countries. In Uganda, DRDIP, a flagship government of Uganda project funded by the World Bank and is implemented under the Office of the Prime Minister.
Dr. Dip has helped to facilitate dialogues between refugees and host communities.
Peace is preached in church, peace is emphasized in community meetings, in every place where people are gathered. As a community leader, our aim was majorly to see that the hosting community and the refugees stay together.
I've seen even now especially the refugees coming and marrying. There is now intermarriage between the refugees and the hosting communities.
In the past, our students, their citizens and the village would clash, say, over source of water, over any small issue they would clash.
Progress is fueled by the commitment to ensure that every refugee feels welcome and every host community feels enriched by the presence of refugees and all have a chance to thrive.
Don't miss DRDIP Social Cohesion documentary on 26th March 2024 at 7:30 p.m. on UBC TV.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso, every Wednesday live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The cardinal role of a government is maintaining law and order, safeguarding citizens' rights and providing essential public goods and services. Throughout its tenure, the government has consistently upheld these principles. This foundation creates an environment conducive to delivering crucial social services to citizens through diverse approaches such as taxation, strategic budgeting, and effective policy implementation. A transformative education system, advancing healthcare provisions, enhancing social welfare, and propelling infrastructure growth, all of which continue to evolve daily to cater to the population's expectations. Supported by a meticulously organized network of ministries, government remains committed to serving its citizens. Coming soon on your public broadcaster, The Front Bench, your interface with the government every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with Joram Paul Sonko, only on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
In the past, my people could predict the weather, but now the rules of nature have been rewritten.